Hello everyone. Welcome to IAS. Let's discuss today's prelims topics. Question 1 with reference to World Coffee Conference, WCC, consider the following statements. 1. Mysore, the coffee capital of India, will host the 5th edition of the World Coffee Conference, WCC 2023. 2. A property of the London-based International Coffee Organization, ICO, a body set up in 1963 under the auspices of the United Nations to boost the economic importance of coffee globally. 3. Coffee Board inducted tennis player, Arjuna awardee, and coffee planter Mahesh Bhupti is a brand ambassador for the WCC 2023. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. Answer is A. The earlier editions of WCC were held in London, 2001, Brazil, 2005, Guatemala, 2010, and Ethiopia, 2016. Bengaluru, the coffee capital of India, will host the 5th edition of the World Coffee Conference, WCC 2023. Coffee Board inducted tennis player, Arjuna awardee, and coffee planter Rohan Bopanna is a brand ambassador for the WCC 2023. Question to consider the following statements about Gender Inclusion Fund, GIF. 1. National Education Policy, 2020 provides for setting up a Gender Inclusion Fund, GIF, especially for girls and transgender students. To set up to build the nation's capacity to provide equitable quality education for all girls as well as transgender students. 3. It will focus on ensuring 100% enrollment of girls in schooling and a record participation rate in higher education. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is C. The objectives of NEP for equitable and quality education for girl children are being met through specific provisions under Samagra Shiksha 2.0 by allocating dedicated resources for socio-economically disadvantaged groups, SEDGs. Under Samagra Shiksha, various interventions have been targeted for providing quality education to girls, which include the opening of schools in the neighborhood to make access easier for girls, free uniforms and textbooks to girls up to class 8, additional teachers and residential quarters for teachers in remote hilly areas, appointment of additional teachers including women teachers, stipend to CWSN girls from grades 1 to 12, separate toilets for girls, teachers sensitization programs. To promote girls' participation, gender-sensitive teaching learning materials including textbooks. Question 3. Consider the following statements about Infrastructure Investment Trust, Inventory IT. 1. An infrastructure investment trust, InvITs, is like a mutual fund which enables direct investment of small amounts of money from possible individual institutional investors in infrastructure to earn a small portion of the income as a return. 2. InvITs can be treated as the modified version of real estate investment trusts, REITs, designed to suit the specific circumstances of the infrastructure sector. 3. InvITs can be established as a trust and registered with RBI. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is B. Inventory ITs are like mutual funds in structure. InvITs can be established as a trust and registered with SEBI. An inventory IT consists of 4 elements: 1. Trustee, 2. Sponsors, 3. Investment manager, and 4. Project manager. The trustee, who inspects the performance of an inventory IT, is certified by SEBI and he cannot be an associate of the sponsor or manager. Sponsors are people who promote and refer to any organization or a corporate entity with a capital of 100 crore rupees, which establishes the inventoryity and is designated as such at the time of the application made to SEBI, and in case of PP projects, base developer. Promoters sponsor jointly have to hold a minimum of 25% for 3 years, at least, in the inventoryity, excluding the situations where an administrative requirement or concession agreement needs the sponsor to hold some minimum percent in the special purpose vehicle. In these cases, the total value of the sponsor holding in the primary special purpose vehicle and in the inventoryity should not be less than 25% of the value of units of inventoryity on a post-issue basis. Question 4. With reference to the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, BCAS, consider the following statements. 1. The BCAS was initially set up as a cell in the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, on the recommendation of the Mehta Committee. 2. The main responsibility of BCAS is to lay down standards and measures in respect of the security of civil flights at international and domestic airports in India. 3. The Director General of BCAS is responsible for the development, implementation, and maintenance of the National Civil Aviation Security Program. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. Answer is B. The BCAS was initially set up as a cell in the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, in January 1978 on the recommendation of the Pandey Committee constituted in the wake of the hijacking of the Indian Airlines flight on 10 September 1976. The role of the cell was to coordinate, inspect, monitor, and train personnel in civil aviation security matters. The BCAS was initially set up as a cell in the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, on the recommendation of the Pandey Committee. Question 5. Consider the following statements about Offshore Areas Mineral Development and Regulation Amendment Bill, 2023. 1. The bill seeks to provide a fixed 25-year production lease for offshore minerals. 2. Under this legislation, the government aims to introduce auctions as the route to award production leases for offshore minerals. 3. It aims at introducing a 4-year timeline for the commencement of production and dispatch after the execution of composite license or production lease, and a timeline of 2 years, extendable by 1 year, for recommencement of production and dispatch after discontinuation. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. Answer is B. The bill seeks to provide a fixed 50-year production lease for offshore minerals. It proposes to remove the provision for renewal of production lease and provide a fixed period of 50 years for production lease similar to the provisions of the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act, 1957. Besides, in the case of atomic minerals, the grant of exploration license or production lease would be made only to a government or a government corporation. The bill also provides a grant of production lease to the private sector only through auction through a competitive bidding process. It will enable the central government to frame rules for the conservation and systematic development of minerals in offshore areas and for the protection of the environment by preventing or controlling any pollution which may be caused by exploration or production operations. Question 6. Consider the following statements. 1. Superconductivity refers to a state in which a material offers zero or near zero resistance to electric current. 2. Superconducting materials show very interesting behavior under a magnetic field which allows the functioning of systems like the MRI scan machine and the superfast maglev trains that float above the tracks. 3. A current is nothing but the movement of charged particles, Electrons in most cases in a particular direction. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only one. B. Only two. C. All three. D. None. The answer is C. Superconductivity refers to a state in which a material offers zero or near zero resistance to electric current. A current is nothing but the movement of charged particles, electrons in most cases, in a particular direction. When the electrons move, they collide and interact with other atoms in the material. The movement is not entirely smooth. It encounters resistance which, as of now, is an essential property of electrical conductivity. Resistance involves a loss of energy, mostly in the form of heat. Part of the reason why electrical appliances get heated is this resistance. Part of the reason why electrical appliances get heated is this resistance. Elimination of this resistance can result in super-efficient electrical appliances, the removal of transmission losses in power cables, and massive gains in energy. But that is not all. Superconducting materials show very interesting behavior under a magnetic field which allows the functioning of systems like the MRI scan machine and the super-fast maglev trains that float above the tracks. Superconductors also have critical uses in a wide variety of other scenarios. Question 7. With reference to sovereign credit rating, consider the following statements. 1. A sovereign credit rating is an independent assessment of the creditworthiness of a country or sovereign entity. 2. Investors use sovereign credit ratings as a way to assess the riskiness of a particular country's bonds. Which of the above statements is correct? A. Only one. B. Only two. C. Both. D. None. The answer is C. Standard & Poor's gives a BBB or higher rating to countries it considers investment grade, and grades of BB+ or lower are deemed to be speculative or junk grades. Moody's considers a Ba3 or higher rating to be of investment grade, and a rating of Ba1 and below is speculative. Question 8. What is Lunar Codex? 1. The work of 30,000 artists, writers, filmmakers, and musicians from 157 countries is going to be launched into space and stored on the moon. 2. The project called the Lunar Codex is made up of 4 different time capsules filled with digital versions of art from Earth. Which of the above statements is correct? A. Only one. B. Only two. C. Both. D. None. Answer is C. Thank you, everyone. Do subscribe to this channel. Use code SPLIVE to join Unacademy.